mothers up here. I want you to talk about the logos.
Again, give it up for Miss Marilyn Hill, Tilly Smith, Don, Danielle, Miss Delshia, Kim, everybody here that's been affected by police brutality and police violence. This is amazing. And Kim said something that reminded me of what my aunt said from Detroit. If you ain't aware, you ain't alive. And my aunt in Detroit, whenever we would sit down in a restaurant, we sit down, you know, I would sit down, you know, wherever I want. She'd be like, no, that's not it. I said, where do you want to sit? She's like, over in the corner there. I said, why do you want to sit there? So I can see everybody in this damn room. And I said, why you want to do that? She said, that's how we do it in Detroit. I said, okay. And I was, you know, being raised by a single white mother, you know, there's certain things and certain realities that I didn't understand that my aunts knew and my father knew growing up. And I had to learn that going down to New Orleans to visit my father and learn that immediately going to Detroit. And in Minnesota, you know, the neighborhood I was raised in, you go out and take a run, you go to Detroit, you don't go for a jog. You call a group of people to go take a jog. Because you got to be alert at all times. And how that situation occurred stems from post-slavery. When you talk about black folks being relegated to a single neighborhood or a single part of a city, you don't ask how that got there. But I think it's important for us to ask why. Listen. Why do we get Kensington Heights? Why do we get Gary, Indiana? Why do we get Detroit? Why do we get Cleveland? Why do we get these situations where you get black people cooped up into one neighborhood and then you got police coming through trying to just basically inflict violence upon them to push their bodies around and keep them in control? And essentially control us with the threat of violence. We talk about generational trauma, and I believe Catrice Jackson brought up a really good point. And she said something to the effect of, some white folks have fear, but why don't we just call it hatred? That's it. And I thought to myself, you know, we carry generational trauma, we carry generational things from our past grandmothers, great-grandmothers, great-great-grandmothers. And when I think about June 14th, 1920, you had a bunch of white people in Duluth that hung 3 young black men over the accusations of sexual assault. And they were false accusations. The doctor found no signs of any brutality upon the woman that was claiming that had happened. But in the aftermath, what you had was 3 black men hanging. And we talk about that, we hone in on that, and we talk about the violence in the black body. But what you had around them was a group of white folks smiling for the camera. Now that's a year over 100 years ago. That's 101 years ago. You can't tell me that somebody in that picture didn't pass down some twisted type of hatred, stigmatism, false BS, and belief in black people that we are less than human. You can't tell me that wasn't passed down, because folks that work as police officers in Duluth are the descendants of the people that hung those black men. So you can't cut the history off. You can't cut the narrative. And the only reason right now is why we saw a modicum of justice, if you even want to call it justice or accountability. Some people would just call it Keith Ellison doing his damn job. The only reason why we saw that is because a young black girl filmed it. That's right. And they're not even releasing the body cams for Andrew Thompson now. Or for some other folks as well. Because in Charlotte, North Carolina, the brother that was killed in Charlotte, North Carolina, they're saying they need to wait 60 to 90 days because the narrative is powerful. And I go back to what's bringing us here right now, and why Miss Marilyn brought us here, which I think is so beautiful, is that on First to First in Duluth, when they hung those young black men, and they smile next to their bodies, what they're doing is they're showing dead black men bodies to say this is what's going to happen to you if you act out. And this is when we have no fear or hatred, is when we're next to a dead black body. Because when we're alive, when we're black and alive, it's seemingly something they can't stand. And the way that history is changing, when they would take folks out to the lynching tree on 38th in Chicago, or where Jamar Clark's bench is, or right here where Demetrius Hill was shot in the back, they would expect us to never return to that place and withdraw from fear. So they can control your body. They can control your narrative. They can control your emotions. But what Miss Marilyn has brought us here today to do is to have community amongst the lynching tree. To show them that we're not afraid. To show them that we will come back nearly 25 years later to demand justice. This man, Joshua Lego, has been working under the auspices that he was able to do this with impunity. But he can't. We will not let the stories be washed away with time. We will continue showing up. We will continue shutting shit down. And we will continue asking the same question that Demetrius Hill did right before he died. Marilyn said the last thing he said was, why? Why? And the only answer I can give to that, brother, and I know in '97 I wasn't much in anything. I was a freshman walking into South High School, and I was just as scared as anybody. I was walking in there, and I was in fear of everything. So I can't imagine Demetrius at his age getting gunned down in the back and then asking why. And the only answer I can give Demetrius is, I wanted to say because they fear you. But I have to say, it's because they've been offered lies that the only way for them to get ahead is to hate you. The only way for them to get economically above or maintain some comfort or their white fragility is to hate you. And they somehow believe that in that hate, they have to kill us. And I want to give a second part to that, and it's because when you ask why, my answer to that is because they don't know how to love you like we do. They don't know how to love you like your mother does. And I can't imagine somebody more important in your life than somebody that would show up 25 years after you've been slain. That's a pretty big person. I think that's a pretty big deal. And I think if you look in your phone or you look around you and you ask yourself, who here would show up for me 25 years later? I would. I know I would. Without a doubt. I never met Demetrius. I just met Marilyn a few months ago. Show up. And you're showing up for Demetrius right now too. And you're creating a community that's going to show up for people if and when that happens. But we shouldn't have to. People should be doing their damn job.
That's right.
People should be not reaching for a gun. They should be reaching for a taser. They shouldn't even be showing up with the gun. People should not be hiding the evidence. People should not be hiding the narrative. So we're out here to celebrate our narratives, celebrate our people, celebrate our fearlessness, and point out their hate today in the celebration that Marilyn Hill has brought us to. And I want to say thank you to Marilyn, and thank you to all the families supporting Families Against Police Violence, and all the leaders here, like Trey Hearn, Nakima, and everybody that has been an absolute inspiration for us. And I hope that you are inspired as well to keep stepping up and showing up. All power to the people.